Good evening. You're here with the 5 o'clock news, and this is Gizelle with the news for the top of the hour. Starting us off, we have a groundbreaking report from Sarah about the recent outcome of the Planned Parenthood versus Casey case. It appears that the constitutionality of several Pennsylvania state regulations regarding abortion were challenged in the case of Planned Parenthood versus Casey. The Supreme Court upheld the constitutional right to have an abortion and altered the standards for analyzing restrictions of that right. We have Sarah reporting the Planned Parenthood versus Casey case and the past cases that have influenced it.
By upholding the right to have an abortion, Planned Parenthood versus Casey reinforced the ruling that was decided in Roe v. Wade. The outcome of Roe v. Wade addressed the legality of abortion, announced that women hold the power to decide whether to keep or abort their fetus. The Supreme Court decided that the right to privacy under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment extended the rights of women everywhere. I have here Dominique. Dominique, tell us why you think this was such a landmark in the issue of privacy.
It is difficult to say when a fetus is viable. It is also challenging to allow a mother to have an abortion if it puts her own life at risk. With that said, many women still wish to proceed with the operation since it is their bodies and they feel that they should be able to make that decision. Now back to Gizelle.
Now that we have seen the influence of Roe v. Wade on the current Planned Parenthood case, why don't we explore the origins of privacy? What started privacy and how did the government define privacy? I'll take you to Kimberly for the answers.
Your answer, Gizelle, can be found in the Griswold v. Connecticut case. When Griswold v. Connecticut was first introduced, the Connecticut law stated that the use of contraceptives was illegal. Ms. Griswold gave information, instruction, and other medical advice to married couples concerning birth control. Griswold and her colleague were convicted under Connecticut law, which criminalized the provision of counseling and other medical treatment to married persons for purposes of preventing conception. In the end, the Supreme Court ruled that the law violated the right to marital privacy. Gizelle.
Thank you, Kimberly. Later, the Supreme Court announced that the ruling was made off of the basis of the First Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Ninth Amendment, and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment.
Here we are with the 5 o'clock news. Should students be searched for drugs at school? Does it violate their privacy, or is it within the authority of the school board? Some schools adopt a zero-tolerance policy. In Lockney, Texas, 11 people not associated with the Lockney school were found dealing cocaine. The school board instituted a program of drug testing for grades 6 through 12. Sarah is here to tell you about the one family that objected to the program.
Larry and Tracy Tenahill were the only parents who thought the program was unreasonable and unconstitutional. Later, the Lockney School changed the policy to apply only to students in extracurriculars. Opponents showed that this would only stop students from doing extracurricular activities. School officials fought back by commenting that random drug tests are effective and do not invade students' rights. In the past, the Supreme Court has never ruled on the constitutionality of school-wide drug testing. Back to Dominique.
Still talking about privacy, we have a report on the debate over social networking. Social networking sites are making it very easy for search engine providers, service providers, advertisers, and hackers to access private information. Kimberly is here to break down this controversial issue.
Search engine providers can learn a lot about their customers simply by tracking the searches they make. Since most people these days have accounts with social networking sites such as Facebook, it is very easy for others to simply search their names and find at least general information about them. This information is public and therefore available to anyone with access to the internet. This may not be that big of an issue if the customers on these sites knew who exactly would have access to the information that they were posting. The problem is that the users do not know that the information they provide is not only available to their designated friends, but also to advertisers. Since so much on the internet is accessible to the public and users are not properly notified as to what people will have access to, it has become much more difficult to regulate their privacy.
Thank you, Kimberly, and thank you all for joining us for Evening News.